Thank you, Wellness Center. Thank you, God. Thank you, every being, known and unknown, that's helped me be here in this moment. I'd like to begin with a recognition of our season, the season that we're in, the season we call fall. I'd like you to all take a lesson from the description that comes through me as we talk about the fall. I'd like to take a look at one of God's creations, the tree, and how the tree deals with the fall. Here we have an organism created divinely, going into its most challenging season in its life, a season that it does not know how long will last. It does not know how cold it will be, where its next water will come from, how much sun it will have or not have, how much light it will be able to generate energy for itself from. It doesn't know any of these things. But yet it stands just where it was divinely placed, holding a space asked to be held by God, not questioning, not wondering why it isn't where the tree is next to it or the tree is across the meadow, but knowing that the place where it's at is exactly the place it is supposed to be. And willingly and graciously sheds its leaves, which are its source of bringing in nutrient, in a brilliant display, and lets them fall to the ground, giving its source, one of its major sources, of life back. Not doing that with fear of what we just spoke of, not doing it with a level of anxiety, tension, but doing it with a willful surrender that this is what it is supposed to do in this moment. This is what Creator instructs it to do, without question, without doubt, without fear. It releases. It goes into the most challenging season of its life in a space of total surrender, in a space of total vulnerability and openness to all that could possibly cause it to no longer exist. It does so. What a powerful meaning is displayed in a simple process that we're all watching happen and have all watched happen many, many times in our life. Yet how many of us, upon entering a fall in our life, wish to hold on to our leaves, hold on to all the things around us, grasp and clutch tightly as we possibly can when we go through moments that we don't know what's going to happen. Holding on tightly so that we don't lose what we've got. I think we could all learn a valuable lesson from the tree. As we enter falls of our life, changes of seasons, things that seem overwhelming, things we don't have the answers to, nor are we supposed to. Surrender. Surrender all that you hold tightly. And don't surrender surrendered every moment. Don't surrender with anxiety or tension. Surrender with peace. Surrender with acceptance. Surrender with the absolute essence of divine nature, faith and trust in your mind, body, and spirit, that this is what is supposed to be happening in this season of your life. And do it with beauty, with color, with divine. This part of the talk is slightly redundant, but it's kind of cyclical and symbolical, and those of you who have heard me talk before, you can kind of just enjoy the little preview. Those of you who haven't, it kind of gets you ready for what these are all about. I'm a messenger. I bring a message, and I bring a message not only in this moment, but in every moment of my life. However, certain messages take a deeper amount of preparation these messages, for some reason or another, which is ironic, we'll talk about that in the lesson today, seems to take me to a different level, not only mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, but physically. There's a shift or a change required to bring about these teachings. The interesting part about receiving the lesson is what I have to go through to bring the lesson. So to bring you this lesson is always my honor, my privilege, and it is a gift to me more than it is a gift to you, relatively speaking. So the first thing I must do is thank you for your presence, for it is your presence that gave me the reason to go through what I went through. So I honor you and I thank you, for without you, I would not have been able to enjoy the gift of what has come through me and what is going to come through me in the moments to come. Normally, as you all know as the history goes, the first talk I gave, I had food blessing, which was an incredible case of food blessing that cleaned me out and took only my real physical shell and the Spirit of God in me to bring you the message. The second one was not as bad. A little bit of pain, easily moved through, nothing too traumatic. Third message was some paralyzing back pain that a few days before the talk I could barely walk and move, and it was quite challenging. This was pretty docile, comparatively speaking. Pretty happy about that. Incurred some minor back pain. Knew it had to do with the talk. No surprise. Very expected. Almost felt, interestingly enough, it was a requirement of some kind. Rite of passage. Belief system. We'll talk about that. And just accepted it and embraced it and did the things that I knew were in the best interest of loving myself so that I could bring the message to all of you. And it has passed very nicely. The interesting thing is that in order to release it, I had to do some sensory deprivation, which is basically sitting in a tank of salt water where you float. No sight, no sound, no sensory, except the warmth of the water. And going through just a release of all that I am holding in my mind, body, spirit, that isn't of the most divinest nature, and letting myself come to a pure state to bring through what I'm supposed to. Well, interestingly enough, as I was in that space, the lesson came to me. And sometimes they come to me right before I talk, sometimes they come to me 24 hours before, sometimes they come to me anywhere in the midst of that span. Usually not that far before that, though. I usually don't get that much time to prepare. And you can't really prepare for it anyway. All you do is get a topic sometimes. And then that is all you're given until you get in front of people and begin to release it. This topic was really neat. And it was all about requirements. Requirements. And I was not just led to talk about requirements, but was really meant to bring you to a space of looking at what are your requirements for happiness? What do you really require to be happy? Interesting question, isn't it? Since all of us on some level or another are trying to be happy, trying to move to that place, want to get to that place, feel like it's a goal to get to that place on some level, to be in a space of happiness, joy, peace. Well, let's just start with happiness. What is the requirements for happiness? I think if you take an honest look at the requirements of happiness in your life, one thing you're going to find is that you're requiring an awful lot to be happy. Now, since we are all opening our minds to the simplicity of life, which is what I always ask God to help me do, please make it simple, because I am not that smart. I am wise, and I hold to that wisdom with all that I have, but I am not smart. Because to be smart, or to proclaim smartness or intelligence relative to the divine intelligence that exists, would be absolutely full of ignorance. So I cannot put myself in that space any longer. It makes no sense. But I am wise. And wisdom is having an appreciation for what you know and what you don't know. And having an appreciation for what you do know, being truthful and genuine and holding to that and letting that be your guide to all that you don't know. So, in that space, I asked for guidance. Requirements for happiness. When I looked deep within myself, just in terms of the single situation that I was going through to bring the message, one of the requirements for that, on some level, was pain, wasn't it? I was requiring, in my belief system, an experience of pain. On some level. Why? Because it was happening again and again and again, wasn't it? Can't deny it. I would like to say, in my egocentric space, of which I have to admit I have some left, why, if you're not drawing it to you on a regular basis, why would you be expecting to experience pain as a requirement to bring a message through? Had to own that and say, okay, I am on some level requiring pain to bring the message through. And I initially boom, released it and was like, okay, no more of that. Well, that was probably, a good 75% of the pain right there. Can you believe that? Just the recognition that I was requiring pain as a part of my journey to happiness. Think about that. Honestly, take a second and give that a moment of consciousness. I then started to release deeper emotions that were causing the pain. And you know what one of the biggest emotions that we all have a requirement for in our life is? It was fear. I was requiring fear. I was speaking to one of my dear friends this morning, and the funny part was, I've done such amazing good intention release in myself, I didn't even know what the fear was. I just knew it was fear. Knew it, felt it, could understand that it was fear. Everyone knows what fear is. We're not strangers to it. It's one of the first emotions that we sense. So I am experiencing fear. And I'm going, why? What is the purpose of this? Because it was a part of my requirement. That it's a requirement of my reality to experience fear. Why? Why? Because it was my requirement. I was bringing that emotion and making it a part of me. And on such a deep level that I couldn't even identify what I was doing it with again, but it was there, have to recognize it, and then simply surrender it and say, I don't wish to have fear as a part of my reality and as a part of my requirement to be happy. We have associated struggle, pain, anxiety, indecision, on and on and on, with the achievement of happiness. Is that insane? Yeah. We don't even know why we're doing it. But we do. And even those of us who work on releasing effort and coming to a place of peace in consciousness, we even find ourselves doing it for reasons we don't even know. Now, through awareness and consciousness and the gift of all of you, I came to release these things before I came to talk to you today, which is just awesome, and I thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I thank God for the moment to do it. Because as I did it, God was just running through my veins, every part of my being, going, tell them, share the information. They're all causing this, and they don't need to. When is the last time you really, really had a really genuine reason for requiring fear in your life? When's the last time you were without food, on the brink of starvation, without housing, had an animal that was going to kill you chasing you, had someone with a gun to your head that was going to shoot you, had someone you loved right in front of you that was going to be taken from your life in that second? I'm sure all of us may have experienced something like that in our lives, but We don't experience it on a regular enough basis to require fear to be in our lives as often as we do. Fear should be a momentary occasion in your life where you experience something that is life-threatening. Oh, life-threatening. Now let's just move into that space and understand how we have rationalized the requirement. Life-threatening. Is anything life-threatening? Can anything stop life? No. Because what is the only creator of life? God. Can anything stop the creation of life? No. So is anything life-threatening? No. Wow. Big excuse taken, isn't it? You may go through a change, and a lot of your leaves may fall from your tree. But life will go on. Life has never been threatened. When you say, but my life was threatened, that's an egotistic ownership of something you do not own. You are then applying a requirement that substantiates your belief system, that keeps you entrapped and a prisoner. We create our own cages, don't we? We create our own cages. So, requirements. Let's move away from just this one emotion and let's start to just look at what we really require to be happy, okay? And this was really fun because I had to look at myself and say, what do you really require to be happy? Thank God, I don't require much to be happy at all. I just really enjoy just being myself and experiencing what I experience. And I'm so thankful for the reality that I am able to intuitively understand and experience. And it's just such a joy. And I know I'm so blessed to be in that place, and I try and be a mentor and a teacher and a guide for as many people to experience that as possible. And I'm just so blessed to be in that space. And we all are in that space, and we all can be in that space if we choose. If we choose. So, what do I require to be happy? Well, I kind of told you what I require to be happy. I'm a very simple person. It's funny. People who have known me for the 10 years, 12 years I've been in practice, I drive the same car, I wear the same clothes, I do the same things again and again and again and again and again. I wear the same t-shirts when I exercise that have holes in them. I wear the same sweatpants that my mother got for me from the hospital when she was working there when I was in 5th, 6th grade. As long as something works, whatever. I don't really feel the need to invest a lot of energy into things that really don't enhance the quality of my reality. But let's look at what all of you do to, and me on some level, I'm not excluding myself in any way, I'm definitely one of you on many levels, and have such compassion for the ones that I am not anymore because I know that I was. So it's not about me judging. Please, never come from a space of judgment when I'm with anybody. I just want to help bring awareness. Look at what you require to make yourself happy. The first thing most people require is they require money. Let's hit the big ones, because these are the ones that I had to go through in my mind and check off my list. They require money. Okay? They need some sense of money to be happy. And without money, they can't be happy. And I see this all the time. I am so blessed to see a cross-section of the biggest things that cause people to be in a state of dis-ease and unhappiness. And one of the most common ones is money. They require money to be happy, a certain amount of money. And so you ask them, okay, well, do you have a roof over your head? Oh, yes, I do. Do you have food on your table? Yes, I do. Do your children have all that they need to be in a good spiritual space and grow? Yes, they do. Then where is your need for money coming from? Well, I have bills and I have expenses and these things cause stress. And so if I had more money, I wouldn't have the stress in my life. Okay. Nice theory. Wrong, but nice theory. And it's not wrong for them to think it. It's just sets up a requirement that stops them from being in a state of happiness. Because as long as they can't achieve a certain level of financial wealth, they are basically telling themselves, I'm not going to be happy. it's not going to happen because this is what it's going to take. And if I don't have it, I'm not going to be happy. Okay. You're going to see as I go through and tell you these simple things, they are multiple events of self-condemnation. One as deep as the next. So you can see all the things that go with money. You can see career, job, occupation, status of living. I need a bigger house. I need more. This is a great one. I need more space. I just need more space. I don't have enough space in my house. I need more room. I don't have enough space. Interesting. Very interesting. I really enjoy this one because I just laugh. I can look right into their life and I see that the reason they can't afford a bigger house is because God wants them and their family to be closer together. They're not supposed to have space. They're supposed to be integrating more so with the people that they have in their life. And they're trying to run away into different spaces, different rooms. They want to segregate themselves from each other. If that were the need in your life, you would have enough money to buy the house you want. At the same time, you need more space. Look outside the planet. We are full of space. We are nothing but space. We are molecular bodies, but we are full of space. There's nothing but space between us. There is space all around us. There is more space than anything in the entire universe. But we need more space. Space from each other, space in our house, space in our lives. A lot of space. And it's free if you just look. And put down your requirement for what you feel you need to be happy. Next one. Marriage, relationship, camaraderie. Okay. This is a big one. It's a big one. I'll be happy when. But Susie, your back pain's better, your headaches are better, your menstrual cycle is doing amazing, your energy is up from a 4 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. Everything in your life is really going so well. Yes, but I have no one to share it with. When I have that relationship, then I can be happy. Then that requirement will be fulfilled. Then I will be happy. Then I can finally enjoy all these amazing things that have happened in my life because I will be married. I'll be married. Or I'll have a partner. Or I'll have someone to share this with. You have everyone to share it with. Who is stopping you from sharing it with everybody? You. Why? Because of your requirement. Because you require this to do this. And that requirement stops you from enjoying the beautiful gift of sharing all aspects of your life with everybody that God puts in your field. Do you really believe that you're only supposed to be here for a certain number of people in your life? Do you really believe that that's what's required? And you're going to see me just taking you to multiple levels with this as I build you into this awareness. What if I believed that I was required to be with my family on Sunday? What if I believed that was a requirement? That I work really hard all week, I get home at 7:30 at night, and I have 2 small boys and a wife, and you know what? I should be home on Sunday. That's what I should do. What if that were my requirement? Would that be a good thing for everybody? No. And would it even be a good thing for me? No. Requirements of relationship. I love to talk to people about relationships and about what they expect from people in their relationships. It's really, really interesting. Because when you ask them why they expect certain things from people, they don't even know. Why are you unhappy in your marriage? Well, because they're not this and they're not this and they're not that. Okay. Well, What's your grading scale for whether someone meets your criteria? When does anyone finally meet the criteria? When does anyone finally meet the requirements that then you can step away and say, good, they're where they're supposed to be? I don't even know. And that's why no one ever meets it. And that's why they never meet that requirement. Encaging ourselves in illusionary beliefs and requirements that require us to constantly require. This is madness. We are supposedly the most evolved life form on the planet. I think we gave ourselves that label. And that's why we can be so cavalier about it. If you are in a relationship with anybody, you should not be looking at that person and saying, what do I require of them? You should be looking at yourself and saying, what is required of me? What is required of me to be, express, become, to be happy? Because if you can focus on what's required of you to be happy in a relationship, guess what? You can be happy in any relationship. And then nobody has to meet your requirements because there are none for them. They're required to be themselves in whatever state they're in, going through whatever they're going through, experiencing whatever they're experiencing, being whatever they're being, and you have no requirements on them. We go into marriages with these expectations and requirements, and that's why so many marriages fail. Why? Because we have requirements for our marriage to meet that are unrealistic. Unrealistic. We have requirements for ourselves in relationships with ourselves that are unrealistic. I talk to so many beautiful mothers, and they've got two or three small kids. They're working part-time. They're taking care of a home. They have a husband. And they're upset with themselves that they're not getting enough done around the house. They are putting this requirement upon themselves to achieve an unrealistic goal so that they can say, I'm happy with the job that I'm doing as a mother or a woman or a person or a wife or whatever role they're choosing. You're going to get tired of me saying this. This is madness. This is self-induced insanity. You are doing this to you. I was doing it to me. All because I believed on some level, as subtle as it was required. Who teaches us what's required? The world on some level, each other. Whatever comes in our nervous system, I'm going to make it broad so that it's not about fault or blame. It's not about your mom or your dad or, I'm really getting to a place where it's really not about any of that. We are programmed by what we experience. But we are not victimized by what we experience. Hear that. We are programmed initially by what we experience, but we need not stay victims of it. That second part's what everyone misses. It's good to understand what things have affected you. That is the first step to becoming conscious. The rest of it is releasing and allowing yourself to come to a space of peace and happiness because of what you are and were made to be, not by what you've experienced. Relationships. money, job, 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 job. Don't get me started, God. Don't get me started talking about jobs. I love talking about jobs. You have one job and one job only. That job is to be yourself. Your eternal employment depends on it. You can do any job you want to do, but if you're not doing that job as yourself, bringing yourself to that job as the real job, and realizing that that job is nothing more than a placement of your being in divine order to have an experience with other people that are in that sphere of influence, you have missed the point of your job, and you will always be unfulfilled in it. No matter how much you make, no matter what you're called, no matter how big your office is, it's irrelevant. Your job is to be yourself and to bring that gift to the world. I see myself taking care of the financial needs of my family as a direct result of being myself. I make a living being myself. It doesn't matter what job you do. Do it being yourself. And then every day, you go to work and you be yourself. And you let your inherent talents and gifts that God has given you come through you on all levels, not just what they're asking you to do, but in affecting people in a positive way, because now you don't have those requirements for everyone to meet. And you enjoy that space. And you get paid to do it. And you can then migrate through your life, taking a bunch of different jobs, but the job you're doing is never changing. It's the same job. Really, really fun. And there's some people who don't have jobs. They'll come see me, they'll be in between jobs. I don't have a job right now. And I look at them and I say, you always have a job. You always have a job. What do you mean? I said, your requirement of a job is that it's something you get paid for. The job you're here to do, you don't get paid for. You don't do it because you get paid for it. You will get paid for it at some point, but it's not why you do it. That was your requirement of the job, is something you get paid for. The real job you do out of love for God for creating you. It's like saying thank you. You being all of yourselves is like thanking God for creating you. It's a way of saying thank you. It's a way of saying, I recognize what you've done, and I just want to thank you, and I'm going to thank you by just giving and being open and letting this come out. That's your job. Forget about the rest of it. The rest of it, if you make it the focus and the requirement, I have compassion for you. Now, the interesting part about my story is that I went to see one of my other doctors named Jenica, sweet soul, and I asked her about my back. And she looked at me, and without even hesitating, she said, you're tired of work. And I looked at her and I said, without even thinking, I said, you're right, I am tired of work. Now, I love my work. But listen, there's a hitch. I love my work. I was still seeing what I was doing on some level as being work. Why would I do that? Because I had a requirement that I have to have work in my life, that there has to be work, that there's this concept of work. You have to work. Got to work hard, got to work long, got to work this many hours, got to work to please people. But even though I'm not pleasing people, there was this work aspect of my life. Interesting, because as I was releasing, I was like, I'm done with work. I'm done with work. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. There's this concept of work. So, why would I want to hold on to that? I didn't. It was an expectation, part of my life. Had to be a part of my life. Why? Because it was required. Got to do it. Got to work. Inbred on a primitive level. I then went through a very strong fear and anxiety release as I released work, because the fear and anxiety was over. You're not working anymore. And I released fear and anxiety over not working because it was so deeply ingrained in my being that you have to work. Can you understand? These understandings and beliefs were incarcerating me. And by doing this message, they came up and I was able to release work. Because it isn't work to be myself. It was an improper interpretation of moments in my life that were being spent in one way, and remembrance of the reason they were being spent in another that was conflictual. And the conflict was unnecessary. It was an unnecessary requirement. So we've covered money, relationship, job. Look at requirement in terms of anything. Anything. Let's now take it to the next level and look at the flip side, which is interesting. What is really required of the tree? To do what? To surrender, to have faith, to have trust, to believe in the intuitive energy within itself that knows it is going to stand and be strong as long as it is meant to stand there, that it is going to get through whatever it is meant to get through, and that when that lightning comes, if that's how it's supposed to go, it is going to go, but it is going to do everything until that moment in a place of peace and surrender. That is what is required of that tree, isn't it? It's really what's required of it. Trusting that it'll have the water that it needs when it's thirsty, trusting that it'll have the leaves it needs when the spring and summer comes, trusting that it is going to do everything it is meant to do, and God is going to assist in it by giving it everything it needs to do what it's supposed to do. Not what it thinks it's required to do, but what it is truly required to do by God. God will give you what you need to perform that task. It does not make sense that God has a purpose for you, and God is not going to give you what you need to do it. God may not give you what you need to accomplish your purpose, but you will always have what you need to accomplish the true purpose of your life. Does God withhold peace from anybody? No. Does God withhold the gift of faith from anybody? No. Does God withhold the gift of trust from anyone? No. Does God withhold the gift of intuition and knowing from anyone? No. Does God withhold the gift of prayer, meditation from anyone? No. What do these things cost? Nothing. The poorest person in the entire world can experience happiness. Isn't that ironic? Universal truth cuts through all differences in humanity with a knife. Just everybody gets a shot. Universal law. And ironically, those of us that are the most blessed in ways we think are important are the farthest away on so many levels from the happiness. And yet, I can watch a show and I can see people in a space of carrying their water, waiting for food, struggling on their own level for survival, true survival. And you can look in their faces, and I see more happiness in their faces than I see in most of yours. Because they are forced to embrace those things. They are forced to surrender. Who is truly blessed? Who is truly blessed? We are all given access to the things that are truly required for heaven on earth. Are you willing to put away your own requirements for what you think your life should be, for what you think your marriage should be, your job should be, your work should be? Are you willing to release the requirements that you have put upon yourself and upon this reality to meet a level of expectation that you feel is appropriate and necessary? Are you willing to release those requirements? I can tell you, from someone who's released many requirements and looks forward to releasing as many more as God will bless me with, what's on the other side is freedom. Freedom. Freedom that can't be bought by a paycheck. Freedom that can't be bought with money. Freedom that can't be experienced because you don't have to go to work every day. Because the only way you are truly free is if you are free of yourself. Otherwise, you will continue to incarcerate yourself and rob yourself of the freedom that you were born to experience. Are you willing to surrender? Are you willing to let your leaves fall to the ground? Are you willing to stand there naked in the midst of everything in your life that you feel threatens you, that stimulates you to have some type of requirement, even if that requirement is reaction, and just be? If you are, if you're even willing to walk towards that direction, to become aware, you will experience glimmers and glimpses that turn into more prolonged sensations of knowing and peace and happiness and unjudgmental, unconditional love for your own creation and that of others. It is a beautiful gift to be able to look at any creation of life and see it as absolutely beautiful and perfect in its own right. It is the purpose of life, is to be able to see life on that level. I pray a prayer for you and for all humanity in this moment. I ask that we are blessed with mercy, wisdom, and an undying faith and trust to release our requirements on life, our requirements on God, and allow ourselves to surrender and allow God to remove those requirements from our life so that we may see that all God has blessed us with is all that we need and all that is required to be in a total space of peace, love, and acceptance. And if we do that, we will experience the level of heaven on earth. I wish this for all those that are here and everywhere in this world. Amen.